It started with a knock on the bathroom door and a quiet complaint that cracked open a flood of tension in our blended household. My 18-year-old son stood in the hallway one night, his face tight, eyes flickering away like he was embarrassed to even say the words. "Dad, it's about the trash can in the bathroom." The bathroom. The one he shares with his brothers, 16 and 15, and his stepsister, who's 19. He leaned in, lowering his voice. "She's been throwing her stuff in there. Like, just used pads and tampons. No wrapping. Just there, right on top. It's gross." I blinked. Stuff didn't need to be clarified. I got the picture, and in that moment, I felt something shift in me. Protective instinct, discomfort, maybe even control. I didn't want my sons, who'd never lived with a woman before, who'd barely had girlfriends, feeling violated in their own home. And I definitely didn't want the shared bathroom turning into some kind of battleground. So I did what I thought any dad would do. I waited until the timing felt right. Later that evening, when I found my stepdaughter sitting at the kitchen counter, earbuds out, typing on her laptop. My wife had mentioned she was on her period. I thought, okay, now's the moment. I approached her calmly. I thought I was being reasonable. I thought I was protecting boundaries. I told her that my sons were feeling uncomfortable with the way she was disposing of her used products. I asked, gently, I thought, if she'd mind wrapping them up a little better. Maybe using toilet paper, or sandwich bags, or even flushing them. She froze. Then she stared at me like I'd just told her to incinerate her dignity. And then she laughed. A sharp, incredulous laugh that cut deeper than I expected. "Wow," she said, eyebrows raised. "Coming from the man who sheds like a gorilla and raised 3 skid-marking sons?" I stood there, stunned. Her tone was sarcastic, biting. Her words landed like punches. Personal, vivid, undeniably honest. I'd never felt attacked by her before. She'd always been polite, helpful, good with the boys. But now, I was suddenly the enemy. I snapped. I told her that was uncalled for. I told her that this was my house, and in this house, what I say goes. She didn't yell back. She didn't cry. She just stared, cold and steady. And I walked away. I went to my wife that night, thinking she'd back me up, thinking she'd pull her daughter aside and say, "Look, just wrap them up. Be discreet. Don't make your stepbrothers uncomfortable." But instead, she turned over in bed and said, "You're being ridiculous. She's had her period for 10 years. She knows what she's doing." I brought up the boys again, their discomfort, their right to not be confronted with that stuff. And she sighed, deep, exasperated, and said, "They need to get a grip." That was it. She went to sleep, like it was settled. But it wasn't settled for me. It felt like no one was listening. Like no one understood how out of place this situation was making everyone feel. So the next morning, I tried again. I approached my stepdaughter, tried to explain myself, to smooth things over, but she shut it down. Dismissed me, just like her mother had. No discussion, no compromise. I was angry, frustrated. I wasn't asking for the world, just a little discretion, some sensitivity. My sons were barely adults. Couldn't she meet them halfway? Apparently not. I posted online, needing perspective, needing someone, anyone, to tell me I wasn't crazy for wanting a trash can without visible blood-soaked products on top. And then something happened that I didn't expect. Not even 2 hours after my post. My wife and stepdaughter gathered the 4 of us in the living room. The boys were confused. I was defensive. Then the lights dimmed. A laptop was connected to the TV, and up came the title slide, Periods for Pricks, a crash course in not being an asshole. I swear to God, they made a PowerPoint. They made an interactive quiz. They broke down the menstrual cycle, anatomy, hormones, the logistics of period products, the environmental impact of wrappers and plastic bags, and most importantly, the emotional toll of being made to feel ashamed for something you can't control. They even showed images, clinical, not graphic, of what pads and tampons look like when used. Not to shock, but to normalize. At first, my boys squirmed, fidgeted, made the occasional face. But then, they listened. They asked questions. They laughed. My youngest, 15, actually won the quiz. His prize? A piece of chocolate cake. His grin was wide, proud, a little embarrassed, but honest. And me? I sat there, watching these two women, my wife and stepdaughter, take a situation that could have blown up our family and turned it into a teaching moment, a human moment, and I realized how wrong I'd been. I had thought I was protecting my sons, but really, I was protecting myself from discomfort, from change, from learning something I should have understood decades ago. I had called my stepdaughter a scruff, as if her period made her dirty. But I hadn't said a word to my sons about the streaks they leave in the toilet, or the hairs they leave in the sink, or the wet towels they leave crumpled on the floor. I'd made her feel less welcome in her own home, in her own body. And in doing so, I'd taught my sons that their comfort mattered more than her dignity. I apologized. We all did. My boys told her they were sorry, that they'd never been around a woman on her period before, that they didn't know, that they wanted to know. And she forgave us, not with a condescending pat on the head, but with a look that said, "It's okay, but don't do it again." And now, I'm left with the question I first came in with. So, am I the asshole? Because when I look back, when I see the power dynamic I tried to impose, me, the man of the house, laying down the rules about something I didn't even understand. Yeah, I was. But maybe being wrong isn't the worst thing a person can be. Maybe it's what you do after that counts. This story isn't just about tampons in a trash can. It's about what happens when our discomfort gets louder than our empathy. It's about the invisible weight women carry, of shame, of silence, of being asked to disappear the parts of themselves that make others squirm. And it's about how easy it is, especially for men, to mistake ignorance for authority. But this dad got something right in the end. He listened. He learned. He let himself be changed by the very people he once tried to correct. And that matters. So to the listeners, when was the last time you let someone teach you something you thought you already knew? When was the last time you chose humility over being right? Let us know in the comments. And if you've ever been shamed for something your body does naturally, periods, sweat, tears, anything, this one's for you. You are not dirty. You are not too much. You are human, and no one gets to take that away from you. Thanks for listening to AITA Story Vault. We'll see you next time.